Welcome back to another video with the Jalloh family. Today we are going to be looking at 11 things not to do in Australia. We haven't seen this video before. We've been in Australia for 5 years now. It will be interesting to see how accurate this actually is. So we're going to watch it and we'll pause it at some points and make some commentary on whether we've experienced it or whether it's an old wives' tale that somebody's passed down and people are still living by that.
Australia is many things. It's a continent that makes up the 6th largest country in the world and is home to some of the most dangerous creatures on the planet. And no, I'm not just talking about Australians. With a little over 8.5 million people visiting each year, tourism is a huge part of Australia's economy. That being said, there are a number of things to look out for when you're there, so let's get right into it. Number 1. Don't stray from the path. With over 66 different venomous species, which is the 3rd largest concentration in the world, by the way, it's important to know where you are at all times. Now, this is especially true if you plan on trekking or camping in the outback. With things like the common brown snake, box jellyfish, and crocodiles, there's no shortage of dangerous animals here. So it's important that you stay on the path when you're exploring. And that goes for warning signs as well, because while it may seem funny to some people from different countries, here they're very real and should be taken seriously.
Yes. Definitely do not stray from the path, but it's one of those ones that it's almost like you forget. Like, we've gone on adventures and just walking around different places and you don't necessarily think about it, but you know to be mindful of it. Do not stray from the path.
And you always take a stick.
Yes, we went to Tidbinbilla Nature Reserve and I learned from one of the elders that they used to take sticks when they're going hunting or anything like that for the snakes, and they'll tap the floor. The vibrations would then alert the snakes that there are people coming or there's something coming, and then they will slither off.
So they don't get scared and then pounce.
And pounce on you.
Number 2. Don't underestimate the cost. Australia is known for having one of the highest living costs in the world.
Really?
And traveling there is no different. Now, of course, this is all subjective depending on where you go and where you're from, but it still might surprise you to hear that a beer costs around $9 Australian dollars. And a meal at a mid-range restaurant costs around 40. Now, all in all, if you're really trying to save money, you can get it down to around 100 Australian dollars per day. And I'll just throw that number out there as an average. But between transportation, food, and lodging, the prices can get a bit expensive. So it's important that you price out your trip accordingly. Number 3, and this is a short one. Don't say shrimp on the barbie. This phrase was popularized by a 1980s ad with...
It's so true now.
I know.
It's so true.
Oh my goodness. It would be interesting to know where that actually started. Nobody says that. No one says shrimp on the barbie in Australia. Like, nobody that I know of.
But it's the same thing like East End. Nobody really walks around and says, oh, give us some pie and mash, mate.
Yeah.
Give us some jelly eel.
Yeah.
Jelly deals. It probably came from a show, because in the UK it came from like Del Boy, innit?
Yes, and people just latch onto it because it's a funny saying and just think that everybody says that.
Popularized by a 1980s ad with Paul Hogan.
Come on, come and say g'day. I'll slip an extra shrimp on the barbie for you.
It was later in Crocodile Dundee, and it was sponsored by the Australian Tourism Commission to try to bring in international travelers. But this is absolutely not what an Australian would say. If they would even use that phrase at all, they would say prawn, not shrimp. So don't make it more annoying than it already is. Number 4. Drinking in Australia. Now, for this one, I'm mainly talking about major cities, specifically Sydney, so don't quote me on the rest of the country. But in Sydney, you can't get a beer after 1:30 in the morning, because they have something called a lockout law, which means no one is allowed in or out of bars past that point in time. And their last call is at 3 in the morning. And of course, don't drink and try and drive, because they have one of the lowest blood alcohol content levels, 0.05, before you can be arrested.
That's good, first of all. So does that mean if you're in at 1:30, you're locked in until 3? That's a bit much. But then you can't get a drink. Oh, to try and sober you up.
Because you've had so much. I think I remember somebody saying that we went somewhere possibly over the Christmas, and they were saying something about them serving alcohol and they can't serve it past a certain time because of, and then I'm sure they talked about the lockout law.
I remember them saying at Christmas that to buy that frozen mojito, I had to buy chips, like a meal.
You had to buy a meal. Yeah, you couldn't just buy.
You couldn't just buy alcohol on its own. You had to buy food.
Yeah, with the drinking as well. This weekend when I was going to football, there were like a whole row of cars pulled over, and they were doing the breathalyzers checking. And
look, we're generalizing as well. It does, for me, it does feel like a different culture. Like if I go out with people from work, which is a rarity because I'm not about that life, because I don't drink. But people be like, oh, go and have one. Are you drinking? Are you drinking? Are you drinking? Like I feel like there's more. I feel like I have to justify it more here than ever in the UK. Like nobody. They'll ask you once, like, are you drinking? It's like, no, that's it. But it'll be like, go on. They're on their second or third. It's like, oh, go on, have one. It's like, I'm driving. Yeah, but you can have one. But no, because you don't know how my body copes with it. Did I tell you, fun fact, I had a friend in primary school whose mum was killed because of a drunk driver. So I would never even have like a taste because I'd be so scared.
Take a taste.
But it's a different culture. But also, I like that it's got a low blood count because here, one of the things that I've noticed, and it's generalization obviously, but like if you lose your license here, like you're screwed. Like if you lost your license in Stockwell, I could drive you to work and then be at my own job in 10 minutes. But imagine if you lost your license, I'll drop you there, then 45 minutes I'm arriving at work. That's a bit much.
Everything's far away.
So your license is really precious here.
Last but not least, don't order Foster's beer. That's not an Australian thing, that's an American thing. Instead, try and order a bottle of Bundaberg. My Aussie friends will know why I'm laughing. Number 5. Don't underestimate its size. Australia is a country with about 25 million people, and because it's a continent, it's made up of almost 7.6 million square kilometers. Despite the fact that the majority of its population is clustered around the coasts, in urban areas, it still means that as a tourist, it's going to take a long time to get from place to place. So it's important to take a look at exactly how long it's going to take you to complete your itinerary. Number 6. Don't always tip. Now, unlike some countries, tipping isn't required in Australia, and that's mainly because their minimum wage is the highest in the world, at around $18.93 an hour.
The minimum wage thing, that's actually gone up. I think it's now $23.23.
Wow.
$23.23.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's the highest in the world.
I need to pay him each weekend, innit? So.
Oh, you pay him minimum wage?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's a limit. What's the point in working for your dad's business? I'll put him on an executive wage, to be honest.
Yeah, you can do if you want to.
I'll run the business into the ground.
In places like the US, waitstaff require tips to earn a living wage, because the national minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. Now, if you have great service, for sure you should tip the person. All I'm saying is you won't be scorned, like in the US, if you don't.
Yeah, that was horrible when we went.
Number 7. Don't rely on public transport. Now, because Australia is so big and so spread out, public transport is difficult to find outside major cities. You know, it's not like Europe where you can take a train to a small town, hop off, and then hop onto another train to another small town. Australia is just too big for that to be feasible. So you're better off finding other ways to get around.
Car.
To be honest.
Number 8. Don't talk about immigration. Now, forgive me if I have to generalize a bit in order to get the point across. But for the most part, many Australians dislike the way that the government handles immigration, whether they're anti-immigration or whether they're disgusted by the way the government handles refugees. Of course, there's all the people in between. But the bottom line is that immigration is a big deal in Australia, and it's easier to avoid the topic.
Yeah, I've never got that. It might be a certain place where he's at, because it seems like he's in Sydney. But I've never actually got that sense of you can't talk about. And I think people don't generally discuss it or talk about it, but
the Aussies that I've met, everybody's like so laid back. Like I've never been in an environment where something's off topic.
Yeah.
Even like when we've like hung out with people and stuff, and like race comes up and things like that. Like everybody's like super respectful.
Yeah.
I don't know, there's like this unspoken, just common respect.
Yeah. It might just be a regional thing.
Maybe,
where
yeah.
it is, but I've never got that. Like.
And also the time of year, because remember when we first came, they had that big thing about turning the boats round and stuff, and people were kicking off.
Yeah.
So maybe it's an old video, maybe.
Yeah.
Number 9. Don't take anything personally. Now, Australians always seem to be joking around, and insults are one of the ways that they do that. But don't make the mistake of thinking they mean anything by it. There's a funny saying where you know that an Australian doesn't like you if they don't insult you, because it means that they actually think there's something wrong with you and that it'll offend you. Go figure. So take everything with a grain of salt. Number 10. Don't be afraid to say hello. Australians have a pretty well-deserved reputation for being laid back. And like I was talking about before with the kidding around, they're good at taking things in stride, which makes it easy as a tourist to make friends. And talking to people is a must.
Yeah.
That's how I make all my friends.
Last but not least, number 11. Make sure you enjoy Australia. Australia is such a cool place with so many fun and interesting people.
Yeah.
And there's so much to do there. It's important to keep in mind that these are all general guidelines and tips that I find out while I was there. And I'm sure you'll have a fantastic time while you're there.
Oh wow, he really glad. Imagine that's your job though. That's
I know,
decent.
right? Yeah, but I like that the last one that you finished on. Don't forget to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place.
It is. It really is. And I think that's one of the things that we said that we wanted to do when we came to Australia. We wanted to make sure that we went to different places and actually discover Australia, not just come and insert ourselves and just redo what we were doing in London. We might as well just stay there. Yeah. And so we've stayed true to that. We'll link a few of the videos in the descriptions as well of the places that we've gone to.
We went to Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Kiama, South Coast, Maria, Highams. And we've been around Central Coast. That was nice. That was my birthday. That was nice.
That was good.
We went up to Mooloolaba. Oh my god. Yeah. That was amazing. Like, we travelled around. Yeah,
so we want to continue to explore Australia. So do stick around for our adventures. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, hit the notification bell. Every time we post, you'll get a notification. We post every Monday now. We're being consistent, yay! Just check back again next Monday and there will be a new video for you to watch. So we'll see you in the next one.
Bye!